Sean Strickland might have just pulled off the greatest upset in UFC history, and I think I just gotta stop doubting this guy because he keeps fucking doing shit like this. First it was Izzy, now it's Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, what a performance from Sean Strickland. Now, listen, some people might come in here and be like, this was a robbery. I just thought this was an insanely close fight. Split decision I figured was the right decision. I figured Khamzat won round 1, then like Strickland 2. I thought 3 and 4 were kind of toss-ups. I think I gave let me check my notes. I think I gave Strickland 3 and Khamzat 4 and then Strickland 5. Either way, I thought it was very close. This was a really weird fight to watch because looking back at kind of the first round where Chimaev takes him down within 10 seconds, you know, is pretty much just backpacking, controlling Strickland, put him in the body lock. Sean's kind of trying to scramble, and you could see how this is going to be different from a DDP fight where DDP is kind of just accepting being on bottom, essentially waiting for Khamzat to tire out and figuring out eventually, as long as I defend submissions, I could beat this guy out on the feet. But Strickland survived, he stayed patient, and the second round is when you knew things were going to be different for this fucking fight because, you know, there wasn't really a shot within, you know, a minute in, and Strickland's working the jab really well, flicking the right hook, just doing the iCarly guard like he normally does. And also, I think mixing some nice right hands, stuffs a takedown and ended up on top. And Chimaev was on bottom. I couldn't tell you the last time we saw fucking Khamzat Chimaev on bottom. Sean stops another takedown, and Khamzat Chimaev just pulls guard. And originally, I'm like, God, did Khamzat get hurt there? And he didn't, but maybe he just kind of gassed out. And Sean's putting ground strikes on Chimaev's back on the bottom. And it just looked bad for Chimaev that Strickland ended up on top. Round 3, it's kind of Strickland where you start to see him being like, I'm not going to shoot takedowns, where he's working his jab really well. He was the weird thing was, if you thought Khamzat Chimaev won this fight, I wouldn't necessarily have blamed you because the optics for Chimaev on the feet were interesting because he was really popping that jab and working that right hand pretty well and was on the offensive this entire fight. I think he was advancing like 49% of the time. I don't know the exact statistic, but he was on the offensive, and Strickland was fighting off the back foot for a lot of this fight, but he was still popping his jab. He was defensively jabbing for 25 minutes essentially this whole fight. Chimaev would kind of work in some body kicks. Strickland's nose became busted up in this third round. I kind of forget if I thought this was Chimaev round and then Strickland was the 4th and the 5th. I don't really remember, but the whole time, like, why is Chimaev not shooting? And then I was reading through Twitter, you know, in between rounds, and I was like, you know, is Khamzat just kind of being exposed as, like, if he can't get his takedowns off early, he just becomes like this kind of weird pressure boxer when he gasses out? Because I honestly thought we were on path to like maybe a Strickland finish after the second round. I was like, man, that's a bad look for Chimaev. Strickland can kind of take advantage. He can go in the forward pressure and Chimaev, and then Chimaev was fighting like a pressure boxer instead of a pressure grappler for pretty much the rest of the fight. It was really weird, and I kind of was thinking maybe Chimaev will win this one. He was changing the pace really well, but throughout this fight, Strickland did a great job stopping takedowns. I know it says 9 for 13, but like Chimaev, even when he would get a takedown, Sean Strickland's scramble ability throughout this fight was really good and was just, again, popping the jab really well. Originally, I was like, shit, maybe he wins this because he was so up on the numbers. I know the strike totals here is close, but significant strikes, you know, were really favoring Sean Strickland on top of the fact that he was defending the takedowns really well. And I think, you know, those are just bad optics for Khamzat Chimaev. So I wasn't mad with Sean Strickland winning. Obviously, I picked Khamzat Chimaev, but what a fucking win for Sean Strickland, because I was getting texts I just got a text message. I'm like fucking DC. I was getting text message from my boys being like, what the fuck's wrong with you? He was what, a fucking minus, you know, 400 favorite or whatever the fuck he was. Like, this is pretty crazy. I can't believe this happened. Maybe we're overrating the grappling ability of Chimaev, where if he can't get off these initial takedowns and you can stuff them, he becomes just not really that dangerous, because not like he's a guy who has a ton of power on the feet, like has a nice jab and can keep the pressure on you. But man, what a win for Strickland. Did a great job working his jab throughout this fight. Just so defensively sound, even though he was getting pieced up with the jab, with Khamzat's jab, just did a really great job defending takedowns. Some people were saying this was a war. I wouldn't really even say this was a war. These were just two dudes trading jabs for the majority of the fight, and Strickland just doing a great job scrambling and just kind of neutralizing the grappling game of Khamzat Chimaev. And when the decisions were read out, I wasn't really shocked, but just what a win for Strickland. Happy for him. I don't really like Khamzat Chimaev. He'll be moving up to 205. It's obvious he has trouble making the weight. I wonder if like the bad weight cut also kind of had an effect on, you know, just how he performed in this fight. Not trying to give him an excuse because I don't really give a fuck about Khamzat Chimaev. I would have liked to get the pick right. I lost a lot of money today, but good win for Strickland. Just how good is DDP, guys? Just how good is Alex Ferrer? I wanted to mix that. Just how good is DDP line in there somewhere. I mean, he beat this guy twice. I know the first fight was close. Clearly beat him the second time. One more point on DDP, because I was thinking this during the fight. I was like, man, DDP's like striking style is just so terrible against Khamzat Chimaev, where like he's just so wild. It doesn't really work. And like his takedown defense was just so shit, where he was like putting fucking like these guillotine hooks. It just made zero sense. I was just laughing about DDP during this fight, but what a win for Strickland. Again, any of my dudes on Twitter, like Vampiric Legs, anybody who was like pro Strickland for this fight, credit to them. They were fucking right. Sean Strickland, even when he got taken down, the scramble ability was the key. I kind of figured that would, you know, be work for him. I just figured maybe Chimaev would have been a lot more aggressive with the takedowns and just landed more and got more control time after the first round. He really just didn't. What a win for Strickland, though. I just want to say it again, just how good is DDP. But honestly, and I remember coming in this night, I was like, Strickland versus Chimaev. That's not, like, I didn't think that was going to be the fucking highlight between the main of the co-main. I thought Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira was. And technically I was right. Because even though Sean Strickland won and, you know, it's great for the country, I think it's better for the UFC because, like, Americans don't like, you know, Americans, it's better to have an American champion like Sean Strickland, and Chimaev could just move up to 205 and murk out fucking Oldberg or fight Costa or somebody. I don't think he's sticking at 185, but either way, fucking Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira, because I originally thought I was going to lead off with this in the video. I was like, fucking Chimaev versus Strickland will be kind of boring. Chimaev probably gets a finish, or he just smudges him for 5 rounds, and we're kind of like, you know, Strickland tried to scramble, but he couldn't really do enough. Boy, was I wrong, because the scramble game of Sean Strickland's elite. He does a good job stuffing initial takedowns, and he just jabbed his way to a fucking win. Again, I kind of figured maybe he wouldn't win, and I'm just kind of getting stuck on this, because I'm all over the place. It just happened. I'm still shocked. I kind of figured, man, like, my problem with Sean Strickland is I wish he had, like, a better B game, or, like, another part of his game where he just had a little bit more finishing ability, you know, because his A game is so good where he's working the jab, he's working the teeth, he's doing the forward pressure, but it's like once you're forcing him to go on the back foot and what's it called, you know, solely uses jab where he's not really teeping because of the threat of the takedown. It's like, I wish, you know, he just had a little more pop in his fucking right hook or right hand or something. You know what I mean? That was just that's one last piece I'm gonna leave off on about Sean Strickland, where it's like, I thought that would be the reason he didn't win, just because he didn't like land that big stunning shot or that big moment, but he won the fight. I'm not arguing there. I think he did win. Either way, Joshua Van, if you were, let me say something about Joshua Van. If you were fucking switching up on this guy, calling this guy the fucking paper champ, which I wasn't, and I wanted Pantoja to win. Pantoja's probably my favorite fighter. Stay on that fucking side. Joshua Van, still the champion. Put a beat down on Tatsuro Taira. Now, a beat down, I guess you could say, because like Taira probably won the first round, was like getting in an immediate a shot, like an immediate takedown on a double leg, and Van kind of throughout this fight I thought did a good job defending on the fence, and then Tatsuro Taira dumped him. And what I thought Joshua Van did really well in this fight was when he was on bottom with that butterfly guard, Tatsuro Taira wasn't really like advancing a ton, throwing up any submissions, doing really any damage. Van was just kind of content with staying on the bottom in that guard, working to scramble. But again, I did say this about Joshua Van in my breakdown video for this card. He is a good scrambler in the open mat and is good along the fence, and he showed that in this fight. You know, I thought Taira probably won the first round, but I thought Van overall throughout this fight, even if I don't think he did like 8 for 21 on takedowns. A lot of people were coming in here saying, you know, Tatsuro Taira is going to fucking smudge him. I didn't think that was going to happen. He showed great sprawls throughout this fight. The second round, pretty much everything changes for him, where he kind of lands that weird knee where Taira's hand is down. I see fucking people on Instagram already bitching and moaning about that. Fuck you. New Jersey's got these gay ass rules. Fuck that. But throughout this fight, Joshua Van's jab was there. He landed the jab consistently. Tatsuro Taira, my big issue with him is his lack of head movement and boxing defense. It's just so bad. And also, just at the end of the second round, this guy, Joshua Van, dropped Tatsuro Taira with one of the nastiest fucking rights I've ever seen, where he planted and just killed Tatsuro Taira. Taira somehow survived. The fact that Tatsuro Taira didn't get finished like until the end of the 5th round was just absolutely insane, because this guy was just eating bombs after bombs. His takedowns became incredibly sloppy after getting knocked down. And I honestly think he might have got concussed getting knocked down because his head hit the back of the canvas in that second round bad. Just sloppy takedowns throughout the third round where I kind of figured Van was going to get the finish there. He was teeing off on Tatsuro Taira so badly, dropped him. The problem was, and I thought this was going to fuck Joshua Van over, because even though he probably got a 10-8 in that third round, when he like slammed Tatsuro Taira to the ground, took his back, had the body triangle looking for the rear naked choke, I thought that, and didn't get it, I was like, fuck, he's going to regret that. He should have just stuck to the ground and pound or got the fight back up to the feet, forced Tatsuro Taira to stand up and finished him. Taira, actually looked strong from the kind of the end of the third round to the fourth round where, he was faking level changes and shooting on the fence, slamming Tatsuro Taira down. At the fourth round, he really found that, the calf kick was really working for him. Joe Rogan was talking about it. He's like, man, that calf is fucking done, man. Look at the bruising. It really was there, though. I thought that was working for him. I kind of wish he leaned on that more throughout the fight. He kind of didn't find it till really the fourth round. Taira was kind of landing more of his takedowns, landing more calf kicks, but kind of just the story of this fight was Joshua Van sprawling really well throughout this, working his jab very well, landing really nice combos and body shots. I thought it was kind of an early stoppage, but at the same time, and I've never recognized that fucking ref before, by the way. Like, maybe it was an early stoppage, but like, Tatsuro Taira was on the path to getting finished. I don't really think it mattered. I would have let him go a little bit longer just based on kind of the nature of the fight. But either way, insane win for Joshua Van. I think Taira just needs improvement in his boxing defense and just his striking in general. He did find something with the calf kicks, but he was just way too jab heavy in this fight. And Joshua Van, I'm so excited for the Pantoja rematch. I forget what he said, but he was like, if you want your get back or something dumb, and Pantoja kind of gave a face like it was a fucking fluke injury. I don't know. I think Joshua Van can still win that fight. It just depends on kind of how Pantoja looks. If Pantoja looks like how he did before the injury and nothing bothered him, I still think he would win just because he's such a threat on the feet along with the grappling that Taira really isn't that big of a threat on the feet, even though he has a nice jab and a straight right. Either way, I'm so excited for that one. I'm happy for Josh Van that he can put all those fucking paper champ, allegations away. Everybody's going to switch up on this guy. They're going to be like, oh, Joshua Van, I fucking love this guy. I never switched up on him. I always supported him. Even though I picked him against Pantoja, I like this guy before he's ranked. I like him after he's ranked. I'll pick him when I want to pick him, and I'll always support him. I'm never switching up on fucking Joshua Van. Jesus Christ is a fucking savior. That's all I got to say about Joshua Van. That was a sick fucking win. He made Tatsuro Taira's face look like a fucking, just a tomato. And a fight that I saw people on Twitter calling a robbery. Don't really know how you would call this fight a robbery. The strikes were close mainly because Waldo, and Waldo's my guy. Waldo was getting pissed in this fight because he couldn't circle in the octagon. Volkov was just picking him apart with leg kicks, beating up the front leg of Waldo Cortes Acosta, mixing in body kicks also, working his jab, just spamming leg kicks, was just circling out, And Waldo would every now and then have success getting inside and just kind of making it a bit of a bar fight, but he couldn't drop Volkov. He was kind of banking on just landing a big shot and dropping him, and it just never really happened. You know what I mean? Volkov just kept spamming leg kicks. Now, Waldo at one point was really committing to these leg kicks up on the fucking quad, near Volkov's ass. And you could see there were redditing or fucking bruising up there. But he just couldn't really do enough. He couldn't cut the cage off enough, swinging big. I didn't think this was a 30-27. I kind of figured Waldo won the last round. But people were saying this was a robbery. I don't really get that. Waldo really didn't land that much. Volkov just point fighted the whole time. I know it wasn't really exciting to watch. But Volkov, we've seen on the wrong end of a lot of decisions. We've even seen Waldo kind of rob Sergey Spivak. So I was like, oh shit, maybe it could have happened. It didn't. 30-27 for one round, one scorecard I thought was a little weird. I thought 29-28 unanimous across the board was pretty fair. But I did see people calling this a fucking robbery. And I was like, was it really? Because Volkov landed more and was really just beating him up with the front leg. And Waldo was getting pissed because he couldn't fucking circle out. The Waldo meme run kind of dies. I'm happy for Volkov, though. I do like him. Evil Paddy Pimblett, or Russian Paddy Pimblett, does win. And probably my worst pick of the card, because it's one thing if I got fucking Waldo wrong, where I pretty much in the video I just told you to pick Volkov. I just wanted to ride with my guy. But the Buckley pick is one that's gonna haunt me for a while, because in the video I was like, both these guys can kind of just attack each other's weaknesses, and one dude's gonna do it and one's not. And I kind of figured out Sean Brady, couldn't have improved enough on the feet for me to want to pick him. And also as a guy who gets like a lot of takedowns from the clinch and on the fence and, you know, shit like that. He was landing takedowns in the open mat. I thought Buckley looked kind of fast early and was honestly, what were the numbers on takedown defense? He did stuff some initial shots from Sean Brady, like pretty well. It was just like the second effort and kind of when Brady would get him to the fence that it was kind of over. Then Brady would just mount on him, do all these dumb ground and pound. I'm pretty sure 12-6 elbows are banned in New Jersey by the New Jersey State Athletic Commission. Because I was looking that up. I saw that kind of looking around on Twitter. I did think at the end of the first round, like Buckley did a nice job defending against that Kimura. That was pretty nice from him. But Buckley kind of gave away rounds 2 and 3 by just kicking. You know what I mean? It was dumb. I don't know why he kept going to fucking kicks. If he just boxed this whole fight, he might have had a chance of winning. Sean Brady was passing this guy's guard in like just such funny and easy ways, and he just dominated him. It was an elite performance from Sean Brady. I don't really know what you kind of do with Sean Brady, and there's not really much more I can say about this fight. Like the second round might have been a 10-8. Just Buckley threw away this fight kicking, but I don't really know what you do with Sean Brady because it's like Michael Morales absolutely nuked this guy out, and Prates would probably do the same, and you might be like, oh, you could take down a Prates. I have no clue. I mean, he's just so not really good on the feet, even though I thought he was moving kind of well, even though he really didn't land. I mean, he did land 245 strikes in this fight somehow, which is like the dumbest little, it was like when Ilya's talking with Max Howitt's like who's Joe? It was like, I saw him hitting the bag like this. That was like Sean Brady fully mounted on Joaquin Buckley, just landing these dumb little pitter-patter shots, but whatever. It worked. And I'll say this, I don't really know what you do with Sean Brady, where it's like, do you make him fight an Usman? Do you make him fight a Bilal rematch? You know, there's a lot of weird ways you can go. I do kind of want to see this guy against an Usman, or like even an Islam. I know that's like far down the road. He's not going to see an Islam fight, but the grappling in that fight would be really interesting. I kind of figure Islam would just still box up Sean Brady, but it would be a really kind of fun grappling fight where Sean Brady, I just think, is the elite of the elite. I didn't really talk about it enough. The funny thing is, months back when I was breaking down him versus Morales, I glazed the shit out of this guy's fucking grappling, said this guy's specialty is like otherworldly, and then in this fight I almost just kind of downplayed it because I figured, hey, Joaquin Buckley's out here training with Kamaru Usman and training his takedown defense. He should just win this fight just because he's that much better on the feet. I was fucking wrong. Hand up. I'll take that one on the chin. Just go with the grappler and the more well-rounded fighter. Rounding out the main card, Bobby fucking Green. Just, it kind of looked like how I thought he would, except he even looked better, where he was just absolutely styling on Jeremy Stephens, talking trash, flicking the calf kicks, nice body kicks, and just when they got in the clinch, I think Bobby hurt him with a left. And Bobby Green, you know, they get in the clinch on the fence, they break off. Bobby Green hurts this guy with a left and then kicks him in the balls. Now, it was a little bit of a controversial nut kick, and I'll give Jeremy Stephens the benefit of the doubt because he's a, you know, fucking vet, but it like kind of grazed him with the side of his foot, like barely clipped him. And then whenever they resume, Bobby Green just looks so much faster, landed a double leg on him, ground and pound, elbows on top. Jeremy kind of tried to attack a Kimura that kind of got in there, but King Green did a really nice job moving out, just banging more elbows, got the rear naked choke in. Good win for Bobby Green, who's legitimately going to get a contender soon. I'm just being honest with you. It's going to fucking happen. Bobby Green's going to get a contender or some name. I mean, he's on a 3-fight win streak. We will never see Jeremy Stephens, not Jeremy Green, in the UFC again. Let's run through some of these prelim fights. Ateba Gautier, kind of the same issues that I've had with Ateba from the start are still kind of there, where like he can't really cut off the cage, didn't really throw enough on this fight. I thought Ozzy Diaz in the first round was like kind of good defensively and was timing up takedowns well to try and get Ateba Gautier. Did he land one in this fight? No, but he was timing them up well in terms of he was kind of getting Ateba Gautier up against the fence and just like stalling out. And then the second round comes around and Gautier just like is flicking head kicks, is fighting more aggressive, clips him back with the right overhand, perfectly placed in the temple. Called out Israel Adesanya, finishes Ozzy Diaz. You know what the funny thing is? He calls out Izzy, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, would he beat Israel Adesanya? I know that sounds stupid. I'm like, this dude, his footwork is just not good. I know he has raw power, so maybe he just clips Izzy once and drops him. But like, he doesn't really throw it. Like, it was a legitimate thought that I had. Is like, does this guy actually beat Israel Adesanya? I still think he would, just because Izzy is so old. But whatever. A good win for Ateba Gautier. And moving on, this is the biggest hand up of the card. More than fucking Sean Brady, because this one, I legitimately was going with Yaroslav Amosov when this fight was first announced, and I kind of just got caught into the Joel Alvarez aura. just Amosov legitimately might be like the best grappler in the UFC. I don't even know if that's like a crazy take or not. But he looks so fucking good in this fight where he's shooting in. Alvarez trying to use shooting in early on doubles. Alvarez trying to use his fence to get back up. Joe Rogan calling Yaroslav Amosov, he's a boa constrictor, man. That made me laugh. Amosov just all over this guy in the body lock. Just stuck on him. I mean, he was just riding the back of Joel Alvarez. He couldn't get any room to separate. Joel Alvarez in the second round's kind of trying to go in there, swinging wildly. And Yaroslav Amosov, I don't think I can overstate this. I don't think I could state this enough. That was one of the most beautiful submissions I've ever seen, where he goes in this single leg, gets to the body lock, beautiful takedown, and like a beautiful slam takedown into an arm triangle, submits him. That was one of the best submissions I've ever seen. I would put that fucking on par with the flying armbar by Demetrius Johnson on fucking Ray Borg. That was how beautiful that was. That shit was a thing of beauty. I'm gonna glaze that finish for forever because that was so good. Yaroslav Amosov, I'm sorry for doubting you. You were such an elite level grappler. Joel Alvarez, your takedown defense, I guess questions are still there. Really good win for Yaroslav Amosov. And this one also hurts because Grant Dawson's a friend of the channel and I went against him. But what dumb fight IQ from Mateusz Rebecki throughout this fight, where if he just kept his standing and didn't try and like grapple with Grant Dawson throughout, he would have got a finish in the second round. You know, the first round, Grant Dawson's like flicking head kicks, you know, having some nice scrambles, getting on the back of Rebecki. Rebecki's bleeding. And Rebecki, the funny thing was he lands like a sweep at the end of round one, and then he just figures, oh, I could do that again, which he did in the second round. I was like, oh, maybe I should grapple this guy. He drops him so bad in the second round, ground and pound, riding the back, like just riding this guy's back, standing up on the cage. Grant Dawson still flicking these dumbass head kicks. Grant Dawson still blitzing in. Rebecki just needed to finish this fight on the feet and just kept engaging with Grant Dawson in the clinch and just made zero sense. He could have won this. Dawson kind of gets him down in the third round after Rebecki sweeps him and I think Dawson reverses, gets him in a body triangle. I knew the fight was over after this. Rebecki had no chance of getting out that body. You don't want to be there with Grant Dawson, man. And Dawson's trying for a face crank. You know, Rebecki kind of needed to force a scramble. He just couldn't do it. Dawson subbed him. It looked like Mateusz Rebecki quit, honestly. I have no clue why he was grappling so much when he was having the success in the feet, and you're fighting a fucking Grant Dawson. Now, this one, Jim Miller versus Jared Gordon, was a funny one for me because, like, I did kind of proclaim, I was like, hey, maybe there's a little Jim Miller dark magic where, like, he's calling out the UFC for the healthcare shit and they just fuck him. Either he loses, like, a close decision, or the MMA guy just fuck this guy. The UFC fuck him and Jared Gordon slimes him out. Boy, was I wrong. And it went, like, if I said this, if Jim Miller is going to win this fight, it's going to be this way. Jared Gordon, like, shoots a sloppy takedown and Jim Miller fucking throws up a guillotine. That's exactly what happened because Jim Miller was actually, like, he blitzed in early and was, like, landing some shit and then got, you know, nasty nut kick type, or who got nut? Somebody got nut kicked, and Joe Rogan mentioned steel Muay Thai cups, and I just went, oh, this is gonna be a long night. And Jared Gordon took him down. Jim shoots for Gilly, mounts him, and that's how he won. What a win for Jim Miller. Happy for him. Happy his kid's cancer free. That's all I'm gonna say. Jared Gordon, just a tough loss. Roman Kopylov actually looked motivated in this fight. He probably could have finished Marco Tulio, who, credit to him, somehow didn't get finished in this fight in the second round. Was ripping kicks, looked pretty sharp early. Tulio probably won the first round on volume, and then Kopylov fucking knocked him down with a 1-2, straight left down the pipe, rocked him bad. Marco Tulio didn't even know where he was. He was talking to the ref. Some person I was watching the fight with said he was talking to the fucking officials, or his coaches. I didn't even believe that. I don't even think Marco Tulio knew where he was in that second round at the end of it. Kopylov proceeds to, like, fucking get involved in the grappling and clinch on the fence, but he could have knocked him down. I have no clue what he was doing in this fight, but in the third round, I thought he did turn it up and just landed more significant strikes, won the second and the third. Good fight for him. This started my downfall. Once Marco Tulio lost, this whole card fell apart for me. What the fuck is Pat Sabatini doing there? And then I'll go through these cards kind of quick. Pat Sabatini, smudge fest on William Gomez. Susurkayev, nice submission over to Jordan Santos. Eventually this guy will lose. He still leaves himself open, has nice kicks. I don't know, he won this fight. And then Jose Ochoa beat the shit out of Clayton Carpenter. Jose Ochoa is a legit name to watch in this division. I'm just telling you right now. I've been a fan of this guy for a bit. He's fucking legit. And this card absolutely rocked. I mean, the Khamzat Chimaev losing to Sean Strickland was pretty cool. Sean pulls off another massive upset. I'm going to do fights to make following this card sometime tomorrow for Mother's Day. Joshua Van beating Tatsuro Taira's ass was great. I really did shit on this card. I'm sorry to anybody who fucking tailed my picks. I got to get back in the lab. I've been doing good on fight nights though, so that's whatever. Either way, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. If you're new here, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The doctor is signing off. Go follow me on over at Instagram and TikTok at The Cage Doctor.